So what was life like as a child over there?
Well, in Istanbul, it was beautiful, magical. And then it changed a lot. A lot. Actually, location found us and we started to bring our ideas into this site. It was just a quick decision, not gonna lie. And in November the 9th, we taken over the keys.
Welcome to the Local Heroes podcast.
Hello, Mark.
So, first thing to do is introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Dalma. I am at the moment based in Warrington, and we own this shop in Warrington, Stockton-Heath, which is called LoKal. But most of the people, they do pronounce the shop's name in many different ways. Sometimes they say local, sometimes LoKal, sometimes just something other than that. But this place's name means small little restaurant for common people at the neighborhood, actually in my own language, which is Turkish. And this is what we do at the moment, just a little restaurant owner.
So I need to confess, I call it local.
Local?
But local, probably.
LoKal.
Right.
LoKal.
So it's a beautiful place. It's one of my favourite places to go in Stockton-Heath.
Thank you.
And as you know, Local Hero Podcast is all about people who are trying to give something a go for themselves.
Yeah.
And the trials and tribulations of running a small business. But this is a fantastic place you've got here. The one thing I was going to ask you was where did the idea for setting up LoKal here come about?
Well, not gonna lie, it is 90% random. And one day I just seen a little photo on my phone from Baby B. And she sent me the little notice board on the window of the bus stop. It used to be called Bus Stop Cafe. And it says, we are closed, we are handing over. If you are interested, call this number. And she said, why not calling this number and asking what do they want? And I did that, and they obviously asked for some certain amount of money, and you needed to sign up a new lease with the landlords, and then you were able to take over the shop. And it was just a quick decision, not gonna lie. We gave a little offer to the former owner, and they said, obviously, there were another offers on the table. And we said, 5 more pounds, 10 more pounds. So we did what we could do best. And in November the 9th, we taken over the keys.
Was that in 23?
23, yeah. So it's been a little bit more than 6 months since we've taken over the keys. And the idea, it wasn't like something like this. Okay, we want to have a place, and it is going to be like this. We need to find a good location.
Yep.
Actually, location found us, and we started to bring our ideas into this side. That's all I can say, yeah.
Well, I remember when we were walking past, so I think it was probably around November, actually. Mm-hmm. We were walking past here. And by the way, if you can see Sherlock,
yeah,
he's actually quite keen to get involved in the podcast. You know what he's like. So he's part of the crew. It's absolutely fine. So we were walking past, actually, with Sherlock. And you came to the door. You were closed,
yeah,
and you came to the door, and you were said, "Hey, we're opening." And I really like that, actually, because you were engaging straight away.
Yeah.
And I think that you could see the enthusiasm that you had for the start of this business that you've got, and straight away, within probably the week of seeing you in the doorway, we made a booking to come here.
Yeah.
And the bar was different. You'd filled it full of alcohol, which is always a good thing, as far as I'm concerned. And the vibe felt different straight away. Mm-hmm. But the one thing I remember you saying was, now bearing in mind that you said that it was a bit of a spontaneous decision, was we want to provide really good standard British fare, I would say, with a twist, but with the Turkish hospitality. So you're from Turkey.
I am. As well as my business partner in
as
here.
is your business partner. And so when you were in Turkey, had you done anything like this before?
I've never owned a business in Turkey or in the UK before, actually. I tried to start an online brand before this, based in Manchester. But I worked in the hospitality for a long time, in the restaurants, nightclubs, jazz clubs before, and in a takeaway shop included. And in the UK, in different places like British pubs or Turkish restaurants or Mediterranean restaurants I worked before. No, but I've never been on that side of the business. I was always clock in, clock out. That's it.
So you must have had something in you where it said, do you know, I want to give a restaurant a go or a cafe a go or something. You must have had something in you to do that.
Yeah, to be honest, when you work in the hospitality, you don't earn much and you haven't got lots of privilege in life. It's a very average living it gives to you. And at the same time, all day you see the value that you create for the business. And at one point, everybody who works in the hospitality has that idea. Maybe I can save enough, I can have my own place. So I can have that created value for myself and for my future. Most of my friends who are bartenders or chefs, they do want to have their own place at one point. And it is what it is. It's like an inevitable result of working in the hospitality for a long time. Because, not gonna lie, 90% of the times you do work on minimum wage, plus you get a bit of tips. If you have a little bit more experience than an ordinary waitress or a line chef, you will earn more in an hourly basis. But sometimes this is another aspect actually. Some chefs, some waitresses, some barbacks, some keepies are still earning less than minimum wage just because of they are new in this country or they are new in any other country. And at one point, you want to make a difference for yourself because you work a lot. That's it.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I was asked in a previous podcast, what was how did I get on transitioning from being in the corporate environment into having my own thing? And actually, they are two entirely different things. You can take your skills, you can cross them into whatever, but it's about having something tangible that was my own, which I can touch and feel.
Yeah.
And I kind of get the feeling that was the same for you.
Yeah.
Is that you've worked on the other side of the fence almost, and it was a case of take that learning, take a risk, and take the opportunity because it's available. So why Stockton Heath in particular?
In particular, this is a very interesting story actually, which is true. At the same time, in 2019, we came here as a customer when it was bus stop. We had just a coffee by the fireplace, and my current business owner said that I wish I had a place like this in that time.
Wow.
She literally said that. And I said, oh, yeah, it's very cute and it looks very manageable. And we were working in a restaurant in Lim in 2019, and it was just a day off for us, just walking around. Since then, we never came here in Stockton Heath. Sometimes we came here for breakfast, not gonna lie. But there's nothing special like, oh, this is our favorite part of the town, or we love this area so much. We had no chance to get to know Stockton Heath while we were living in Warrington since 2018 December, to be honest. We were always based in Latchford, worked in different places. And once we saw the notice board on the window, I just checked Google and checked the demographic of the village. And it looked okay to me. Mm-hmm. It looked pretty okay to me to start up a new business and put some energy into it. But I started to know this village after I opened this shop. Other than that, I was an outsider. I'm not gonna lie. I've never, we never kept an eye on Stockton-Heath and tried to get a place in here. It didn't happen like this because it wasn't planned. That's all I can say.
It's a vibrant place.
It is actually.
And you also notice that there are businesses change quite a lot. A unit might end, then another one comes in and it refreshes itself. And that's quite refreshing in itself. I think there's more independent businesses now than there are sort of national businesses, if that makes sense. So I think that's that's a good thing.
I think Stockton-Heath can still be more crafty. That's all I think. And sometimes when you go to a big city, you see a big shop who is almost different and alive every time with different pop-ups. I like to see those kind of things. Or more artisan stuff, more independent businesses. Because it's not always about trade, in my opinion. It's not about trade in goods and services. I like to see the fun part of the business owners. It can be I don't know, maybe a t-shirt designer, maybe another cocktail place, another eatery it can be, or another pop-up place for different small, very, very small traders. I was a market trader before this.
Trading what?
Trading or designed scarves, designed by my best friend. And I've seen too many different people on the makers market, which was an amazing experience. The earring designers, the cheese sellers, the bakers, t-shirt designers, or what else? Too many different things, all kind of stuff that you see on the market. Yeah.
Did you take some of that then, and when you've been here, do you then build relationships with other shop owners? Is that the way it works?
When you have time, you do that. You do that because it is nice. It is nice to be nice to your neighbors after all.
Yeah.
But sometimes we do spend a lot of hours in this building, and we can never find the chance to go and say hi. I still have a lot of places that I haven't tried in Stockton-Heath. Because sometimes we are only closed on Monday. And one of my favorite places to sit down and drink beer is closed Monday too. So whenever I have an early close, I go there upstairs, hide myself out, get a little beer, open up a little pack of crisp. That's it. Because it's very time consuming to own a business.
Well, I was thinking about this. Today is a particularly sticky day. It's warm, boiling. You open the garden in the back, and but for the last 3 weeks up until probably a couple of days ago, it's been raining all the time.
It's been raining, yeah.
So since you opened your business in November, it's been dark, cloudy, raining, quite cold. You had the odd day. Do you remember that? The odd day, and then suddenly it's raining again. How? And of course, then if you're working, you work this 6 days a week. You must have. It must be difficult to get some downtime then, in that sense, and as you say, build up that community.
Yeah, that's true. It's all. Every day is a new adventure, to be honest. In this business, you may think that you do plan everything. I may get that gazebo, I may get that heater, I may get that blanket, but people may be still wanting to go to different places. So you can plan, you can market, you can advertise, you can do your best, but the result may always be different because there is always the other side, which is the guests. And whatever they do want, they do. They go everywhere, like ping pong balls. And one day they come to you, and the very next day you don't see them anymore. Next month you see them again. It's very random. That's why in a location like this, all we need is actually retention. If there's no retention, there's no business.
So when you had the vision, random, what was the one thing that you wanted to provide to the locals then? Was it that service which you said to me, or was there something a bit more philosophical than that for you, do you think?
We really wanted to just be ourselves and do what we do normally. like this is home or living room. We always talk about this. Me and my business partner, me and my all the team. This is our house. They're our friends. We do what we do at home. Other than that, when you work in a restaurant, most of the time the company wants you to put a black or white shirt and a black trouser, black shoes, come to work nice and clean, which is quite understandable because you need to sometimes protect that frame to keep it under control because there's a lot of circulation in the teams in hospitality. But this is a very small business. You have 2 hosts on the front. Both of them are business owners. That's why they do care a lot because their life depended on it. It's that easy. This is how you make a living. And when you feel relaxed during the service, when you are your own self, for example, Tuesday is one of the quietest days of the week. Most of the time I do put my Liberalis hoodie on. How can I go and work in a different restaurant in Liberalis hoodie? But I gave almost every penny in the bank account to have that freedom. And once you have that freedom, you can put your true personality in front of the guest. And when you see the real human behind the service, you can easily feel attached because it's simple psychology after all. To me, this is how I think. If I am myself, if my colleague is themselves, this is so good. My chefs in the kitchen, they do like to listen, sometimes Bulgarian, sometimes Turkish, sometimes Indian, sometimes English songs. And during the cleaning, they turn the volume up and everyone in the garden can easily hear them. Most of the time, we don't say anything to the chefs because happy chef is a happy restaurant is a happy guest, and happy guest is a happy owner. So those kind of randomness that we have in here, it attracts people. They always say that when we are in LoKal, like we are on holiday in a small restaurant in Spain or Italy, it's just...
Well, that was the feedback I got.
Yeah?
I think it was parked, so you've got a booth just here. The listener won't be able to see it. There's just a booth to my right-hand side. And it was described exactly that, the sort of place you might go on holiday to.
Yeah, it gives
it
gives that holiday feeling. No rules.
Yep.
We are carefree, but we are not careless.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just 1 second. Sherlock,
Chit.
sit down. Right. Lie down, mate. Lie down. I brought my dad here, and he said exactly the same thing. So it's more than one person who said it feels
Yeah,
like
I heard it
that
many
sort of
times,
vibe
yeah.
there, which is great. But that's down to you, though.
Yeah.
Because I think that what I understood was that, listen, the place looks reasonably the same to how it looked before. You definitely have started to add some new things to it now. You've got a beautiful wine rack there. You've started doing cocktails as well, which we'll get into in a bit, absolutely. But I would say that it has to come down to the energy that you provide, and you do provide that. That's the one thing that I think most people find attractive to it, as well as the food's fantastic, by the way.
Thank you, Mark.
I really enjoy grabbing all the starters and making a bit of a tapas, as you know. But I would say it has to come down to that energy. But you've got to keep working at business, haven't you, all the time? You have to keep working at it.
Yeah.
Don't take it for granted.
No.
So where did the idea around doing cocktails come from? Because there's a couple of places up the road, obviously, that do cocktails. But when I think about LoKal now, I think great food, hospitality is great, but you are Instagramming an awful lot of fantastic cocktails. Where did that come from?
To be honest, we never ever thought about not making cocktails. I mean, it is just very normal to make the cocktails in that location, to be honest. I mean, you have this little bar, very appetizing to me. It can be better than this all the time, with more liqueurs, more whiskeys, more vodkas, maybe, different brands. But it is what it is. You have your amazing garden. You have your amazing view on the front. It is a place to sit down, eat, and drink and spend good time. So, I think without the cocktails, it would be just a little beer, wine, and food shop. But that tapas kind of part of the menu and the cocktail menu on the drink list comes together very, very logically. I mean, I never thought in a different way. I've worked behind the bar as well before. So I've been making cocktails for some other guests in other restaurants. And I don't say that I am a good bartender or a mixologist, but I just like to do that. Also, I do like to drink them. I do like to drink them. This
Well,
is
that became evident at Christmas when you're clearly sampling the cocktails.
yeah.
There,
I
which is
have
funny.
my quality control glass on the bar all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever I make you some, I make myself some as
Right.
well to try it out.
So we had a bit of a connection because you do have a sense of humor. Mm-hmm. I remember saying to you, I fancy something after dinner, and I was doing like a swishy sound in my mouth, and you knew what I meant,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
came out with this little
Liquor glass.
yeah, which is great. So that made me chuckle straight away.
Turned into a habit now.
It's turned into a habit. I'm not sure if it's healthy or not, but it's definitely turned into a habit, which is great as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, so you're also dog friendly as well, which is great. So there are I do have sympathy for a lot of venues where they might not necessarily be dog friendly, but it's so handy because you can just be passing, and that allows us to be able to come in. Me and the missus, we come in quite a lot, don't we? And we'll sit down, maybe have a drink. We'll certainly have food a lot of the time, but being dog friendly is a plus.
Yeah, and to be honest, sometimes you see people at your door on a rainy day with their dogs. Dog is soaked in the water, as well as the person. They come and ask like, "Are you dog friendly?" How come you say no to this scene? The human and their best friend gone for a walk, and then it's raining, and they need a shelter, a bit of food and drinks, and in this location in the UK, I think this place used to be only dog friendly in the garden.
Right.
I can't be sure, to be honest, when it was the cafe. But since day one, we've been dog friendly inside and outside, and people know their dog. When I was working in the British pub down the road, I worked there almost 2 years, and I was serving on two sections. One of the sections was dog friendly, and the other one was not. People do know their dog if they whether they can go to a pub or a small restaurant with the dog or not. So it's up to them. I am not in that position to say no or yes. You know Sherlock. Tara knows Sherlock. Sherlock knows this place. Sherlock knows regular faces of this place. So I've never felt like Sherlock was uncomfortable in here. He always found a way to feel comfortable. And it is what it is, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because they are social creatures.
Well, that's true. And he likes being around, and he
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
excited when he comes in. He knows
Yeah,
where he is.
yeah.
In fact, when we're walking past the entrance, he'll sniff into the door, and I go, "It's closed. It's Monday. It's closed, so
Yeah.
he can't go in."
Yeah.
So it is part of his routine, which is great. And you've made that accessible. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
So can we just talk about where this all began? So we not LoKal necessarily, but you were was it Ankara in Turkey, which is that where you were brought up originally?
No, actually, my family is from Istanbul, but I've grown up in Izmir on the west coast. And I spent half of my Turkish part of Turkish part of my life, half of it in Istanbul, since till I was 6 years old, and then we moved to Izmir, west coast, and then I decided to go to uni in Istanbul again. And when I was 18, on my 18th birthday, my family dropped me in the middle of one of the craziest cities, and I was on my own. Since then, living without the family, it will be 15 years soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's because from the culture that I understand it to be, it's all very family orientated. Everybody sort of lives together or live on the same streets, and it's really refreshing to see. When I spent time over in Saudi Arabia, it was the same thing. Everything was family first.
Yes.
In that sense, it's family and cousins and aunts and uncles, and I think and everybody sort of works in roughly the same area, which is interesting.
My family is slightly different than that. I have a very small family, only a couple of aunties, cousins, parents. I haven't got any siblings, and not every part of the family lives in the same city anymore. Some of them even live in different countries, different cities at the moment. But yes, we do value family. We are in contact. We are a very alive WhatsApp group, obviously.
Yeah. So what was life like as a child over there?
Well, in Istanbul, it was beautiful, extremely beautiful, because I think Istanbul was magnificent when I was a child, magical. And then it changed a lot, a lot.
When?
In the last 10 years, Istanbul changed a lot, dramatically, because of the new construction sites, overgrowing population, and sometimes controlled, sometimes uncontrolled immigration is a part of it, as well as the economical and the political scene changed. But when I was 6 years old, we moved Izmir to the west coast of the Turkey, which has a very, very laid-back community, very laid-back. You can never see a person runs after a taxi in that city. It is very relaxed, very relaxed, and it has a very similar culture to Greek culture that you witness on a holiday on a Greek island, because it's been under Greek and Turkish effect for a long time in the history. And between 6 and 18 years old, I lived there. I've gone to primary school, high school. I found all my best friends in that city. And I love Izmir, not gonna lie.
So describe it. Is it like a village then, where you've got lots of street food and craft elements to it?
It is.
Describe it.
It is like a very, very big city, to be honest. Millions of
Oh wow!
people
Okay,
do
so it's
live there,
right.
and street food culture is extreme. Nightlife, eating is extreme. This is what I struggle, to be honest. We have 24 hours open shops. If you need some street food, some soup, some sandwich, some kebab, chicken, vegan food, pasta, doesn't matter. You can always find it. Actually, you ask about my childhood. How was the childhood
Yeah,
in
how
there?
was it?
It was free. I was on the streets all the time. All the time, till the midnight, I was on the streets playing with my friends and going to school, after school, streets again. I've grown up on the street. No computer, no phone, nothing fancy, no internet. I'm almost 33, 34 years old now. And my childhood is 1990s. Before the high school.
What was the influences there then? So again, was it an eclectic mix of different cultures in terms of music or whatever? Mm-hmm. Is that what it was? So you had Britpop there in the 90s, Britpop.
Yeah.
As you say,
You may hear the Britpop also. You may hear the Britpop here, and you may hear the Turkish gypsy music in here. It's all around the place. I got my first computer when I was 14 years old, when I found a chance to go to a very good high school to get proper education. It was my gift, because you need to get good grades on your exams to go to a good high school. And then I started to get to know about different music. MTV was big when I was in high school, and downloading MP3 music, those kind of stuff. And next to the Turkish music scene, we always had global music as well, all the time. The community around me was quite mixed, actually. Jewish people, Christian people, Italian, French-oriented people from the Ottoman era of Turkish Republic. Gypsies, Turks, Kurds, Armenian people, all kind of people. You know, they're all your neighbor. You don't even ask actually. You don't even know who they are. You live together. Yeah.
So great community.
A massive community, very attached. Yeah.
When you went into further education, you had the opportunity to go to university.
Yeah, a great one. Yeah.
Whereabouts was that?
Istanbul University.
So back to Istanbul.
When I was 18.
This is the place you were dropped into.
Yeah, they literally dropped me on my birthday. Yeah, but it was beautiful.
Nervous?
Nervous, very excited, not nervous at all. I was very courageous. My life in university was amazing. I would do exactly the same, even worse.
So you had a bit of a free spirit about you because
all
of
the time.
your childhood. As you say, you're actually quite similar to me in a sense. You know, my parents had a furniture store, and I found myself on my own constantly.
Yeah.
And so I was always exploring. So I kind of know what that free-spirited element means. The trouble is, there was some structure I didn't have, but nevertheless, I do understand what you mean by the community does get behind you, and you become familiar with people. And
Yeah. To be honest, when I was a child, life was always like this. You play on the street, and you knock your friend's door. You know their mom is in there because my mom was working, and you go like, and you say, I'm thirsty. They give you the water. I'm hungry. They make you a little sandwich. This is how I grow up. Most of the doors in the whole neighborhood used to be open all the time.
yeah,
Yeah. Or you go to the little shop, you say that you're hungry, they give you food. And at one point, they may take money for that food from your parents, but they're not bothered. You're a child, you have a small appetite, it's just a little sandwich or a little chocolate, that's fine. It was beautiful, to be honest.
do you know? I think in the UK it used to be a bit like that, where the shopkeepers knew who you were. And used to, like, I remember going to a shop once. I was probably only about 5 or something, and I tried to buy a plastic motorcycle helmet with goggles, and I didn't have any money, but the shopkeeper knew my mum and my gran, and so went, oh, that's okay, Mark, you can have it. And then my mum apologetically took the money around afterwards, but they knew who I was, and then doors were open.
Yeah,
all
all
Yeah.
the time.
It's slightly different. So have you noticed a difference here since in the UK,
So much.
culturally?
So much. I do still struggle, to be honest, because the culture that I'm coming from is way different than the daily British life. And imagine, our home was on the 5th floor on a big building. And on the dinner time, it was a very long street. Most of all the buildings attached to each other. No gap, almost no gap between them. You know, like the slightly narrow streets of Italy or Spain, if you can imagine. And dinner time, you see people are handing over trays to each other from one balcony to another. They do share their food. They do share their wine or fruit, whatever they got. So it is a very open community when I was a child, to be honest. Daily life has changed in some certain areas of big cities in Turkey too. The people do have more intimate lives, and but the culture that I do still belong is, how can I say? It is simple Mediterranean culture, and a lot of chats, a lot of laughters, and going to someone else's house is completely okay. You do this all the time. For example, since I moved here, maybe I had only few invitations to the people's houses in the almost 6 years, which is extreme. But when you're in Turkey, when you talk to your friend, "Hi, you're right, mate. Where are you? I'm at home. You want to come over and have a coffee? You just go there in your pajamas, have a coffee, or have a breakfast together. It's constant. You live in people's houses constantly. You do lunch together, you cook together,
Yep.
you sometimes sleep over together, and it is so normal. I mean, I didn't even think about it.
Right.
It is so normal.
So when you, that's really interesting because I think that's true. When you went to Istanbul, then obviously there was probably a slight culture shock, I guess, going back into Istanbul, but it was exciting. And so when you were dropped there, the whole point of going there was to go to university.
Yeah.
So what did you study?
Philosophy?
What was the idea? What was the idea behind philosophy? Was that just about the philosophy thing? Actually, I was thinking about that. Is it general philosophy from philosophers from all over the world, or is it very specifics around Turkish, Greek, sort of Russian?
All kind of actually start with the beginning of the university. You start to study according to timeline, very ancient ages, and then you follow up the timeline till you graduate.
Yep.
And all kind of philosophy that you can imagine.
So is that 3 years?
4 years.
4 years, right?
4 years. 4 years.
And so you popped out with your degree after 4 years, and then from there you said, right. Was it the end? Why philosophy? Was that because of this ingrained sort of cultural awareness you had? Was that the reason why you sort of naturally went that way?
In high school, my department was science. So when you graduate from the science department in high school, you can be a doctor, engineer, or architect, or a science teacher most of the time. And if you want to be a social scientist, once you get the exams at the end of the high school, they do not calculate your points accordingly. So if you want to be a social scientist, it is difficult for you to get there in the uni because another child and another young person who is going to social science department in the high school has priority. This is the educational system, by the way. But some departments are in between, and philosophy was one of them. Even if even if your department is language or science or social science and literature in high school, you can get there. So I was almost target free at the end of the high school. I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what I really wanted to do. So one day, one of my friends, they said, Damla, you can go to philosophy if you want to, because it's in the middle. And I was like, Eureka! Like, found my way, because I loved philosophy all the time since I started to read about it. But I was naive, not gonna lie, because when you have a graduation degree in philosophy, you make no money. You ended up being waitressing and ended up being a restaurant owner.
So did you have
chain reaction?
So did you pay for? Did you waitress while you were doing your degree?
No, my family was supporting me.
Okay.
Supporting my life. Yeah, they were giving me one certain amount of money every month. The same day, 1st or 2nd of every month. I needed to pay my rent, bills, all my expenses, nightlife, and everything. Yeah.
4 years.
And education was free as well.
It used to be here, and obviously students now have to take on quite a considerable amount of money in order to be able to study. My lad Ollie, he later he left school, went to college, and then did a degree. So he sort of had to work his way through it. And when he was working in the bars, you've met Ollie, haven't you? So he was working behind the bars, and that actually helped pay towards getting his degree in the end. And it was hard work. He had to work 7 days a week.
A lot.
Whilst he was still studying.
A lot.
And so he was doing 15, 17 hours a day for 4 or 5 years, I would say, in order to be able to get that degree. but he doesn't have a student debt now at the end of that. So he paid his way to do it. But so there's pluses and minuses. I mean, learning bar work, by the way, is a fantastic skill to have, you know, because you can go anywhere in the world and do it.
I don't know, why do they want young people to start life in debt? I really don't know, don't understand that system, but it is what it is, to be honest. Most of the young people, they do go through the same thing in Turkey as well, possibly all around the Western countries.
Yeah, yeah.
You do start life in debt.
I'm never actually quite sure why it ended up being that way. So maybe I'll explore this one and see why it was that we ended up having to pay in the end. But so you get your philosophy degree, you begin waitressing. So already we can summarize that you had this really open, free-spirited environment which you were brought up in, mixture of smells and noise and cultures, people being really friendly from all different types of walks of life and countries and everything else. Then it's not, I think we've got some people behind, but this is what we get though, because we're in the store, aren't we? So then you pop out the other side, you begin waitressing.
Oh yeah.
But where did you go then from there? So once you're in Istanbul, you're then waitressing. So what happened after that?
I moved back to Izmir in the last year of my master degree in philosophy. I didn't complete my master degree in philosophy, and I moved back to Izmir. I've done a couple of different jobs as well, like being an editor for an online magazine, or those kind of different things, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not anything serious. Social media manager, but I couldn't manage because they were expecting me to be online 24 hours to make sure everything is perfectly fine on the pages. And I couldn't do that, and they fired me from the company.
So I find that though with social media, the game we play with those things, and I've obviously found that with Liberalis, and I'm sure the crew behind the camera here with Prism, they find the same as well, which is you have to keep on liking and replying and everything else, in which the algorithm works in order to be able to raise the profile, and it is almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to keep on doing that. And the second, if you watch the data, the second you don't respond to something, you watch the data drop in terms of clicks and everything. So it's like a game. It's almost like a gamification of your life, isn't it?
Or Facebook page is in the same state in here, LoKal's Facebook page, and you need to spend a good amount of money on it to keep it alive and visible
and interesting
everybody.
to people. So that is quite a challenge, isn't it? So when you went back home, you were waitressing, you've got to say this cultural exposure, you must have made the choice somewhere to leave. So where did you go from Turkey? Did you come straight to the UK?
Yes, that's what I did.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was the decision making behind that?
To be honest, I think...
Because we haven't got the weather. You've got beautiful weather in Turkey,
I know.
right?
It is miserable in here for me, not gonna lie. No offense, it's nature after all, but it is difficult for me.
I think people forget that we are in northwestern Europe.
It is.
And it's
very north.
northwestern European country. And so when you take a look at Edinburgh, I think on the latitudes, I think it's higher than Moscow. I think in terms of where Edinburgh sits, it's cold. You know, we've been trying to create an outdoor sort of Southern Europe cosmopolitan feeling to the UK, but it's over such a short space of time.
Yeah.
From 9 months of the year, it's going to be quite dark, cold, and chilly and rainy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So an interesting move.
It is.
So what inspired that move?
I think it is something very personal, and I don't think much. I am
Spontaneous?
I am maybe very not random, not spontaneous. I'm not that thoughtful about my life, to be honest. And I pay the price at the end of it. Not gonna lie. It is a very, very personal confession, after all. And I was like, when I got the invitation to move here, I was like, yes, I can speak English. I can live down there, up there.
When was this?
It happened in 2018.
Okay,
At
so
the
just
end of the
before
year.
COVID. So
Yeah,
the
just
end of the year, but before COVID.
just before COVID. And yeah, I can speak, write, and read in English, so I don't need to learn a new language. That's fine. I can survive there. And I had a Romanian passport as well, so it was okay moving here before the Brexit. It was good timing.
So you came over here, what, for new experience, new life, new lifestyle?
Just to move abroad.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to move abroad. Just for the sake of moving abroad. Yeah.
So what was your view of the UK
Before
then?
Before moving here, I've never been in the UK. But in the place where my family lives now, we always had a summer house. Summer house means a place that you go during the summer holiday. And half of the community in the summertime has always been British. So we had a lot of Irish, English, and German neighbors when I was a child anyway. And it is a very popular summer destination. So you see a lot of tourists from the UK. And other than that, I love the music, the Britpop, new wave, all kind of music that's from this island. And that's it. Nothing else. That was my only picture in my mind about the UK. British tourists and the Britpop.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, I think that's enough.
Yeah. So there's nothing deeper to it. It's let's just go.
Yeah.
There's an adventurous spirit within you, I think. But also those things which will bring us nicely back to owning your own business, which is not everybody will take that risk. So it sounds to me that you're confident in yourself, and you're willing to not overthink the worst case scenarios. It's what's the worst that could happen.
I think somehow I am pretty resilient in life. I do put myself into risky situations and I end up being okay. I do take my lesson. Sometimes I do pay the price. Sometimes it ends up very, very well. And that's it.
That's the secret of owning a business as well.
Yeah.
Because somebody might say, Mark, you made the wrong decision there. And I would say, well, I made a decision. There's nothing to say it was a right or wrong decision, because sometimes decisions work out and sometimes they don't. But maybe that's the case.
Yeah.
You have to go, in other words, you take the rough with the smooth, and eventually at some point you end up where you would be. So I would say, regardless of the decisions that I've made throughout my life, I'm exactly where I should be today, which is sat here in a microphone with you.
Yeah.
That's where I am now. So what decisions did I get wrong exactly? Because you can make a bit like that sliding doors process, which you think your life should have gone down a particular path, but who's to say that would have worked out any better or worse?
You can never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can never know. I've never been a big believer of free will, to be honest. I think it is, how can I say? None of the decisions are coming with a big sense of free will in my chest. Sometimes it does happen, and after a while, I find a chance to look back and understand. You know what I mean? I've done this, I've done that. On that exact day, maybe I didn't know what I have done this, but now I slightly understand what I have done this. So, how can I say? Yeah, there's a life to live, life for living, after all.
So 2018,
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it Warrington that you came to?
Yeah, straight to Latchford, Warrington.
Straight into Latchford, Warrington. And the idea was let's have an adventure.
Yeah, let's move
Work.
abroad.
There's an opportunity to work anyway, which is great, which is
Let's see
good.
what's gonna happen.
But of course, at that time, you had the spirit of Brexit, I guess, known to you at that point.
was coming,
Had you
yeah.
thought about it? Did you understand what it was all about?
I still don't understand. I still don't understand because it has a very big political and historical background. That's all I understand. And I still don't understand.
And I don't think that the majority of people do understand it. I think it means different things to different people,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So, for example, to some people it might be, oh, gosh, now I need to go through and get a visa sometimes in order or get my passport stamped or whatever.
Yeah.
To other people it might be that it's more difficult to trade now.
Yeah.
To other people it might be, well, actually, guess what? That we're no longer subject to certain restrictions. We can trade with anybody and so forth. So you end up with whole different set of understandings with different people. I think some of it was just motivated by the feeling of potentially being restricted by the EU itself, because I think the EU started off as one thing and has ended up being another. But again, that's someone else's opinion. I think the important thing is that you came anyway. People are welcome here from all cultures, and I think you probably get that feeling.
Yeah. I only believe in coexisting, to be honest. We can exist together. That's all I believe. We can live together. We can trade together. We can have fun together. For example, last night, every Sunday, when it's the end of the service, we do start drinking with our guests. Sometimes I do toast, end of the week, another week, end of the week, and I do toast each person. Cheers, cheers, cheers. And last night, we started to drink in the garden with the last tables. Some of them decided to stay inside after it got a bit chilly outside. So we closed the shop. Some of them are our friends already. We closed the shop. We decided to have some drinks together. We turned the lights off, dance one last time, and then go home. I mean, this is all I understand. A Turkish person, Irish person, English person, an Indian one, it can be. I really don't know. But we do exist together in this little village, and it's a good example, I think.
So when you worked over here, then where did you worked in Warrington? So you worked in the town centre, did you?
I worked in Lim first.
In Lim.
And then I worked in a warehouse for a long time, and I worked in Stratton.
So when you worked in the warehouse and it's dark and horrible, you must have been wondering what you were doing.
Weeks after weeks, I was telling the same thing to my mom. Mom, I need to get that spy glasses. You need to see what's going on in the warehouse. It is madness. If we have this in the middle of the England, what do we have in the middle of the China? It is madness, pure madness. It was a big controlled chaos.
Right.
Very, very well organized chaos.
But it wasn't the dream though, was it? But again, was it a means to an end? So don't be afraid to do the work. Just do the work.
Yeah.
Because it's a means to an end. It will lead to something else, won't it?
Yeah, you just do it. Like I do most of the time, I do it. I don't think about the possible consequences all the time.
Yep.
I just do it. You need the money. It happened during the COVID, actually, because I was in furlough. When you're in hospitality, you were in furlough, and you need to make your living. But the warehouses were open for online shopping, so I gone to there to work to get more money. That's it.
So fast forward, stepping stone, COVID happened.
Yeah.
You're on furlough.
Yeah. Somebody needs to pay the rent, council tax, this and that.
Yeah.
Reality of the life.
Yep.
Yeah.
But eventually it brought you to here, as you said, and it was now that I think everybody now understands almost your philosophy of life in that regard. I can now understand why it would be when you saw the sign on the door here and you went, yeah, Was one of the reasons that you could then, so given the experience you had, is that because you do say this, I am my own boss. I can wear the top I want to wear. I can have a t-shirt if I want to wear a t-shirt.
Yeah, it doesn't matter now.
It doesn't matter, does it?
It used to matter, but it doesn't matter now. Or sometimes I do really care what do I wear, because I want to look nice during the service. It gives you more confidence.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know who is coming, but sometimes you just don't care. You just put your favorite Liberalis hoodie on and then come to the service, and that's fine. That's fine. I think we put a lot of pressure onto ourselves in life in general. I don't know whether this podcast is supposed to be very funny or not. We talk a lot of serious stuff at the moment. But when I think about the places that I worked before, I say, why so serious? Why? It is easy to have fun in life. Why so serious? Why is that dress code? Why no mustache? Why no long nails? What's going on? Obviously, health and safety, this and that. But why so serious? I say a lot of pressure and conflicts because of people's ego, and we try not to keep things in that level in here because now we can, and we gave a lot to have this. Possibly this feeling is so good that you don't mind getting no salary for a long time, because you feed your soul with this.
So when you started the business, what was day one like for you? Were you nervous? Excited?
Anxiety.
So do you remember when you opened the doors for the first time?
Yes, I was about to shit myself.
Wow. So
like I haven't done it before. Like I haven't opened up a restaurant before. I was about to shit myself.
Yeah. First person came in?
Yeah.
Do you remember who they were? Or is it just your mind goes like...
Almost, yeah.
So sat down. It wasn't to drink, it was to have food, wasn't it?
You know what? I am still sweating.
Right.
Yeah. It's an extraordinary feeling.
Yeah. Well, you've got your menu. You're the one thing I think around restaurants, you're opening yourself up. Here's
this
the
is
food.
what I got. You want
This
some?
is what I got. Yeah.
You want some?
How did it go?
It gone pretty well, to be honest, because I always had that faith into the final product, because you know that we always try to find the nicest meat, nicest veg, nicest drink, cleanest glass, a nice clean napkin. You need to, not only your team, but that bottle is also your team.
Yeah.
This is your colleague, and that vodka needs to do its job for you. That little napkin needs to do. It cannot be dirty. It's a one big team game.
So, but the day doesn't start when you open the door. Mm-hmm. So, in order to be able to go and get the best vegetables and the meat, and you're at the markets at 4 a.m, aren't you? Getting this stuff.
Sometimes you do wake up really early. You need to get some vegetables, meat. Sometimes you do get deliveries. Sometimes you need to go there, but you need to make sure everything is stocked, fresh, prepped. Sundays, the earliest mornings, between 7 and 8, you do start working.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so, because again, people only see the end product, don't they? But they don't see the long hours beforehand in order to be able to do the prep. Getting the supply chain right is probably a challenge, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It is a big challenge because everything is so costly these days. It's expensive. It is. You don't have much profit on the food anymore. You have more profit on the drinks. You had steak in here. Mm-hmm. You had starters. You had meatballs. You had haggis. A lot of different stuff in here. But most of the time, when you have a coffee, I make more money.
Oh, that's
this is
interesting.
very strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very strange. Yeah.
I notice on here you've got loads of spirits now, because that was the big change here. Is that you changed the backdrop of the bar. And the funny thing was, Sherlock, honestly, he's got a table. the funny thing was that that's the first thing I noticed after we spoke at the door, was that you had a really full bar. So the beers, how do you?
It was here.
It was all here already.
Tap was here. We just started to supply beer from the same company. We've been supplying beer to different places where we used to work before.
Yeah.
And just cleaned up the pipes, nicely maintained the draft machine, got some new branding to the tap according to the beer that we sell. The people do drink beer a lot in the UK, obviously, but when you look at the reports, only a small percentage of our trade is actually beer, and the cost of the beer to a small business is extreme at the moment. It's just an attraction point to bring people in. And if you are a massive pub and if you sell a lot of kegs in a day, you do make money on the beer. But at the moment, it's just an attraction.
So you've transformed this place.
Yeah. We turned from a small coffee, breakfast coffee, into a small gastronomically taught restaurant bar.
So you've got quite a it's a condensed, I would say it's a contained menu, but it is wide ranging. There is, out of that, there are plenty for everybody as far as I can see, and you can mix and match as well. And then your staff here again seem to be all motivated by the same things, and also your philosophy, which is, listen, if one of the staff members needs to move on, then they can. You know, it's not you're not losing the essence of what LoKal's all about.
No, because I think the thing that we have in here is pretty common in everybody because of the human nature. For example, we wanted to have a staff night out. We didn't go anywhere else. We came here, cooked together, and had some drinks together, got drunk together, danced together, and ended the night in here. As a team, which is a very small team actually, we do like to work with each other, and we like this place. It is not a torture for us to come here, work, serve, and go home. It is pretty okay actually. And the only thing that we have in common, are you having a good time or no? If I'm not having a good time while I'm making the cocktail behind the bar, it will be just any other cocktail. If I have a good time, let's put this. I like to see that you go tipsy after one cocktail.
Yeah, that's not difficult.
Yeah. It is good. It is so much fun.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the vibe that you get here. There's no question about that. Everybody says the food is great, and the other thing is that you don't overface everybody either. It's amazing how full you get because the food is so rich.
It is rich.
Like the lamb is unbelievable, for example. I'm full. I don't need everything else. It's lovely.
Yeah. And we never try to push more sell. Every head is minimum £50. You need to take that money. No, I want you to go home and I want you to feel like, I don't want you to feel like, oh, that makes the difference. That one last cake or one last drink makes the difference.
When you started this in November, then, are you more happy? Sorry, that's the wrong word, isn't it? Are you happy with the way has it exceeded any expectations for you?
Business-wise, I think this is extraordinary what we manage in such a short time. I find it as a success. It isn't about getting a lot of profit, by the way, but I find it as a success. In my personal life, I am less happy.
Yeah. Is that because you're away from home?
No, I have no personal life at the moment. My life is just business. Not gonna lie. And I think it is a very common issue for between all the business owners. Couple of first years will be tough. It's a baby. Like like any other baby. It needs a lot of care all the time, constant care. Yeah.
You can't take your foot off the gas.
No.
So you have to be dedicated
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
In one of the previous podcasts I had, it was a similar thing, which was if you have to commit and don't give up. If you don't commit and you give up, you'll never ever get that business working properly. There are certain factors which will make it work or not work anyway, which can be out of your control sometimes. But you have to commit that time.
Yeah. Yeah. And you need to be consistent. Commitment is not enough on its own. You may commit, but if you're not consistent, it's not going anywhere. Because imagine you come here. When you had your first steak in here, we talked about the plate with you.
We did.
Yeah, I said, what is your feedback? Tell me what you think. How do you see that restaurant? And you told me it looks like some kind of a, like I'm having an experience in Turkey. When you go to a small restaurant in Turkey, when you order a steak, this is what you get. Is this what you get? That's what you told me. Actually, this is not Turkish, Italian, Mediterranean, or a British place. We have a very versatile menu. You have the hummus, you have the burger, you have the pasta, you have the skewer, you have the haggis. It's very global, actually. And the thing is, consistently we talk people, we try to understand the demand, and we are not afraid of changing our service or the plates. It doesn't have to look exactly the same to your eyes. A change is good, very, very good. And since the day one, we do take the feedbacks to change ourselves. We just don't fake it. We really listen to you.
And that's evident because you do ask.
Yeah, all
You've
the
asked a
time.
few times.
All the
And
time.
you've made slight amendments to the dish. But generally, I think that's testament to you guys, though, for doing that.
Yeah.
I would say, because the experience is always good.
Yeah.
It was chaos here at Christmas, by the way. We came here at Christmas, it was packed.
Yeah. How come? I don't know. Or in February, since February, we've been almost fully booked for Christmas Day. Yeah.
Since February?
Since February, almost fully booked for Christmas Day. People, there is a nice little community in this village, also in this town. They do love here.
So when it comes to the future for LoKal, then, so what's the next steps for it, would you say?
New plates, we need new
New
plates.
plates. Has anybody got any plates you can have? What, do you need bigger ones or what
Smaller
is
ones.
it? Need smaller plates?
Smaller ones, because once you order a lot of starters, I can't place them on the small
You
table.
need the smaller ones.
I'm going to keep the portions the same, but I need smaller plates.
Okay.
This is how we think, to be honest. It's not a corporate. It is literally like a home, having a home. You constantly have your friends come in. They are hungry, thirsty, and you go like, oh my God, I need more plates. In Turkey, there's something called, this is so much fun to me. This is something called Altın Günü.
Say that again?
Between the ladies, Altın Günü.
Okay.
Altın Günü means the day of gold. So most of the time, the women, especially the housewives, they meet every once in a while. They have a calendar for this. Once at my home, once at your home, once at Tara's home. And when it's at my place, you are handing over some gold to me, and I provide you some food and drinks, and we gossip. This is how women save money, especially the housewives. So it's like having a day of gold every day, because on that day, you borrow chairs from your neighbor because you never have enough chairs. You borrow sometimes teacups because you have never enough teacups. And constantly your friends are coming to eat and drink with you. This is how my life is all the time. Sometimes I do borrow, I don't know, ice bucket. I borrowed ice bucket from Zelos once.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because somebody pre-ordered a champagne. I needed to go to Tesco and get myself some champagne for them, but I had no fancy ice bucket. They had one.
Yeah. So you legged it up there.
I gone there and and I took it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how life is. Very random.
So the philosophy for LoKal is stay focused on the community. Try not to overthink it.
Yeah.
Have
just go
fun.
with the
Have
flow.
fun.
Have fun all
while
the
you're
time.
doing it.
Yeah, have fun all the time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be coming back. Fun. Fun is.
So you've got the garden out the back. That's fun, by the way,
It is
isn't
very
it?
nice, yeah.
Yeah, it's great for cocktails.
It is pretty nice, pretty cozy. No traffic, nothing. It's a nice hideout. This is what people call. It's a nice little hideout to drink, sit down, chat, eat. And our record is 9 hours. Two ladies spent 9 hours in here. They came at 12:30 and they left almost 10 p.m.
Big shout out to them. When was this?
Yeah, a couple of weeks
A couple of
ago.
weeks ago. Wow.
And at the end
Did
of
they walk out?
no, their husband came and took them took them off. And at the night, the gentleman said, "This woman didn't even call me today."
Wow, right. Totally written off. So there's something which says, go to LoKal at your own peril.
Yeah,
You might never get out.
yeah. No art.
Well, you certainly bring the energy to it. And this podcast is all about people with interesting backgrounds, why it is that they've done what they've done, people trying to give business a go. And it could work or it could fail, and it's down to you, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I think so. That's it. Nothing more. Yeah.
So I've got great admiration for that because it takes a lot of effort to do it.
A lot. All I say constantly, 24 hours in a day is not enough anymore. It's not enough anymore. Because sometimes you have that little idea. You want to make that drink, but you need to work on it. At least maybe a couple of times. You need to spend some time. You need to stock in some new liqueurs, new whiskey. You want to make that drink, but you have no time. We have a new summer drinks list now. People go like, "Oh, what's this? What's this?" They see some new names on the cocktails list, which they haven't seen before because this is our house recipe and we named it. That's why you didn't see that before. But it is just one small menu, but it takes a lot of effort and time behind it and inspiration. You need to keep yourself inspirational all the time. You need to be your own inspiration. Once you have your own business, you cannot find any kind of inspiration outside of it. It needs to be self-sourced. And it is why it is so tiring sometimes, because you give a lot.
Well, it's a beautiful place.
It is, to my eyes, it is pretty cool as well.
It's with the atmosphere that you bring to it and the food that you've got here. I think that it sells itself, and hopefully, the listener who's maybe paying attention may want to say, "Oh, I'd like to go to LoKal."
All I can say, it's not always about bringing more people in. If anybody listens now, if they do want to have their own business, it doesn't have to be a business, by the way. If they do want to write a book or
Take on a sport or whatever.
yeah, do a painting. And I think I would love to say that to my 18 years old self. When you look at here, you see the Liberalis board, the coffee machine, chairs, pillows. Don't take it too serious. Every object that you see in here has a very silly story behind. So don't take it so serious. Those pillows been given by our neighbor to us. I've gone to find those craft beers at the beginning of the shop in the middle of nowhere. Wine rack we have a very, very silly story behind every object. Charity shops, neighbors, bins, skips, not lying, plates, second-hand units, and a closing pop. Can I get this? You see the red light behind it. There's a pub down the road. I don't know if I can say the name
Yeah,
or
of
not.
course you can.
Saracens. Yeah. Sometimes we do go there as a team to play pool. It's not as crowded as the middle of the village pub. It's pretty nice and has a very nice owner. And we had that little sign from a brand, a big brand, and it's been written on it. We deleted. Not gonna lie.
Right, took it off.
We're gonna put LoKal on it.
Yeah.
And we taken off the red light behind it and placed it behind the wine rack. And I seen exactly the same sign in Saracens. And I've gone to owner, have you got any more of this? I always ask for the new one, but they never give me any more. And she's gone like, you can take it if you want. Can I really? And I took it, literally, under my arm, came here, taking off the red light and stick on the other side of the shop. That's the story. Do not overthink about it. You find your way to make it look nicer every day.
That's a really good philosophy to take.
Yeah.
Probably a good area in which to summarize what LoKal's all about.
Yeah. It is LoKal. Yeah.
So look, I think all it leaves me to say is it takes the effort in order to be able to do what you've done. It's a fantastic, vibrant place, as I've said. Keep on going forward, which is great. And it just leaves me to say, you are a local hero.
Thank you. You are too.